Hey, this is Terry, and in this video I want to introduce a new series of videos that we've been wanting to create for a long time. Now, basically, they will be describing Primare's design philosophy, and while we've done videos on those topics in the past, the Logum, Hygge, Just Listen, and the Practical Design Approach video that you may have seen on our YouTube channel, we want these to be somewhat more casual, a little bit more informal, a little bit more specific in their scope, a little bit more abbreviated in their length, but also a little bit broader in the sense that we'll go beyond describing necessarily how we at Primare go about designing our product, implementing our product, manufacturing, selling our product, what we do in the way of marketing and what we refuse to do in the way of marketing. And then beyond that, kind of go and look at, or hopefully provide helpful advice on how to be a better social media consumer or media consumer in general. What to look for when you're looking at reviews, what you look for when you're looking at measurements or specifications, how some of this works maybe to not necessarily promote the best choices you might be making in your system upgrades, your system selection as you move forward in this hobby, this passion that we all participate in. And we thought of a variety of names for this because there are a variety of things we want to do in these videos. So at first, I had been thinking something like positive cynicism or positive skepticism, with the idea that you really need to take a little bit longer in researching various topics, making sure that you look at both the positives and the negatives, the pros and cons. Don't simply believe a statement made by someone or something that you have been led to believe due to past knowledge, past experience, that may not necessarily entirely provide you with all the information that you need. And then there's also the idea of simplification. We thought about calling it specification simplification or oversimplification, in the sense that too often measurements and specifications can be used to try to simplify what is otherwise a complex process of reproducing, of recording and reproducing music in our audio systems. And it is a natural human tendency to try to look at some simple touchstones that might allow you to make the best possible choice without making a bad choice, that in and of themselves may actually lead you in the wrong direction if you don't quite understand how they might best be interpreted. The other thing that kind of leads to then is about kind of becoming a better consumer of media, both social media and traditional media. Particularly today with social media, there are a number of opportunities where misinformation, incorrect information, or simply someone not really being able to respond appropriately, both in giving the information they want, but also in being polite and respectful, that is becoming a bit of a problem, not only for social media in general, for our world in general, but particularly for the audio-video industry. In fact, it was interesting. I ran into a comment by a journalist just the other day who was suggesting, or complaining actually, that they had to go over a topic again and again and again that they thought that had been resolved decades ago. And it revealed to me that there is a couple of things happening with a statement like that. One, there is that sense that we put up blocking mechanisms for anyone that wants to begin to put together a high-end audio system, that we kind of give this sense that you have to be in the know, you have to be part of the club, you have to have a certain basis of knowledge to be able to participate in this. And that's really a problem right at the moment, because I, as the person who handles the majority of general consumer assistance requests at Primare, I see a lot of cases where consumers are actually apologizing for their lack of knowledge, or that they might be asking a silly question, when in actual fact there are no silly questions. In a lot of cases, no one, including myself, knows everything there is to know about this. And so we learn all the time, which is another hallmark of how you advance in your learning and your education around this topic. The other thing is that you often need to encounter something more than once. And that in fact you may need to have it displayed to you or revealed to you in different ways for you to better understand it. And part of this video series will be a little bit more personal reflections on my part, due to some experiences I've had, particularly as a teacher. And so I recall when I was teaching world history to high school students, we would start the year out with the Odyssey. And there was one student in particular who just didn't understand why we should be reading this old poem with its difficult language and its strange topics and odd story. And I was not only part of the English faculty, but I also had started the first high school film school in North Carolina, and usually then used video films as a way of increasing critical thinking and getting to understand the idea of reading video as a text as it becomes a more and more important text in our lives and in our communication. And so for the Odyssey, I showed the film The Natural, which is a retelling of the Odyssey based in 1930s American baseball. And the student that had been giving me the most resistance to learning the Odyssey, and we did every possible way of trying to get to a handle on it, not only reading it out loud, acting out scenes, I even entered the classroom as Homer at one embarrassing point. But toward the end of showing The Natural, this student, seemingly without being able to control themselves, yelled, "I get it now," and began to discuss the film in such a way that I had to turn off the movie so that he could literally review the plot of both the Odyssey poem, the epic poem, and this video, and how they interlaced and how they told this story. And at that point, he was able to express the themes of this epic work that he had otherwise not been able to understand. And so it could be that some of you are wondering, do we really need another series from a manufacturer discussing these points? And I would suggest yes. There is that need to be able to take in as many viewpoints as you possibly can, get as much information as you can from different angles and from different perspectives, that in this way it may communicate to you. And obviously the purpose of this is that as we discuss these philosophies, these ideas, these concepts, you may find it useful, you may find the information useful, and it also may resonate with you, the concepts that Primary uses to create their products, and that you might obviously consider including Primary in your system if you haven't already. And so as a result of that, a result of the fact that I'm recording this from my listening position in my home, in my listening room, that we're going to call this From My Listening Position, because it will be not only Primary's philosophy, but that philosophy is reflected through my 50 years experience of working in this industry. And so some of what I'll have to say will be somewhat biased, obviously, and some of it may not even be quite correct. It may not be even accurate. I'm not going to suggest that these videos will be or represent this unalloyed truth, this absolute, knowable, single object without any question. There is a conversation to be had, and I would like you to join us in that conversation. So if you would, if you're still with me, if you like this kind of thing, press like, subscribe to these videos, and then comment below with your thoughts, your ideas, what you might like us to discuss. But understand that I will need that to be as respectful as we possibly can, that be a collegial conversation that we have through these videos, through those comments, so that we can better understand this wonderful experience that we have available to us with these high-performance audio systems that you must love as much as I do if you've watched the video this far. So stay tuned for more From My Listening Position.